being seen on TV. We don't last long on Eastenders, do we? The Chinese families and all that stuff. We're probably not very cool. Made in China, made in Hong Kong has always been kind of tainted with actually it's cheap rubbish kind of thing back from the 70s and 80s.
But BAME, I hated that phrase when it first came out. I was like, what? Why?
Hi, Making. That was a great chat we had last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, amazing.
And I said we would come back to this idea of identity in this episode. And I never know what phrases are in favor or what we shouldn't be using these days. But yeah, let's take the acronym BAME, BAME, or whatever. I know that's probably fallen out of favor now, but it stands for Black, Asian, Minority, Ethnic, and for me, again, it's my personal view, and it's all based on feelings, etc., etc. Sometimes I feel we need another ME to tag on the end because actually, as British-born Chinese, it's partly down to ourselves, partly down to the kind of upbringing of keep your head down, just hard work, and then education, etc., etc. But I do feel we are just further down in terms of representation, being seen on TV. We don't last long on EastEnders, do we? The Chinese families and all that stuff. But the only the only big representation is either Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, or the Chinese detective from 1980s or whatever on BBC, wasn't it? So I do feel, and we have to work hard at it as a culture, as Chinese or British Chinese as well, and in terms of we don't have that huge culture in music and that kind of representation in the media, in movies, etc., etc. And I don't, we're probably not very cool. Made in China, made in Hong Kong has always been kind of tainted with actually it's cheap rubbish kind of thing back from the 70s and 80s. But if you look at other things, Japan's always been trendy and cool as ever with their electronics and the way they've kind of came out through the Second World War, and now Korean music, K-pop, movies, actors, all the boy bands, etc., etc. They're trendy AF or whatever. The Vietnamese and the other kind of Southeast Asian kind of countries are, everybody wants to go there. Everybody wants to go there for holidays. And, even Filipinos, they're the backbone of the NHS. They are, solid, but, Hong Kong Chinese, made in Hong, that kind of thing. Again, it may be maybe in a bit of self-loathing, lack of love, etc., etc. But again, I just want to share those feelings out there, and I'm working on it. And I think that the really good thing is this younger generation of British-born Chinese. I believe they found their voice. They're on podcasts and they're running their own kind of Instagram channels, and I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing what they're doing. That they have this confidence at young 20s or whatever that I didn't have until I was 40s, but I think it's great. I think it's great they're finding themselves, and they're going through the challenges as well of identity, but at least they're dealing with it and facing it head on from such an early age compared to at least what I had.
Yeah, no, it is incredible. I mean, I'm actually working through with a friend of mine. He's in his 30s, so he's a millennial. And you're right, the young folk of today, they definitely have they actually have specific language and vocabulary to describe us, which I'm learning at the moment. And when my podcast with John gets published, we're working through it at the moment. Then I know that we will have this language that we can sort of share. But from what I understand, we are known as third culture, which I thought was really, really fascinating. But BAME, I hated that phrase when it first came out. I was like, what? Why? And even in the census, I don't know if you remember, or maybe I'm misremembering. I am sure that we actually had a tick box where we were British Chinese.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. Did
yeah.
we have that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So I didn't misremember that. And recently, I actually don't know where to put myself. It's really bizarre. I mean, I was filling a form for the dentist. I think the other week. I genuinely didn't know which box to put myself in because we've disappeared. It's like, what the hell? Like, we're here. Hello. But yeah, you're right. I think BAME has actually died a death now. I think maybe people were upset by that, because they're being othered or being ignored or forgotten about. I'm not sure. But I kind of like this term third culture, but then it is a bit strange because of course, what if I have in Western terms, they're known like my dad had a family before, so I have a half brother. In
Hmm,
Chinese culture, he's my brother. We don't call him
hmm.
half brother, but in Western culture, it's half brother. So I mean, they will also experience, of dual heritage. Their own sets of British and Chineseness and so on. So are they third culture with mixed with dual heritage? I don't know. It's very
Yeah.
confusing.
But yeah, the phrase third culture just makes me think of third world, and that's out of
Oh
favour as
yeah,
well. It's like you're
didn't
just
even think
pushing
of
people
that.
further down the chain.
Yeah,
But but going back to the BAME, minority ethnic, but if you flip it around, us Chinese looking people, or even the word Oriental, I don't give a flying F on, some people, oh, it's Oriental, it's a bad word, it's a bad word, especially in America, they hate it. I've got to
yeah,
this stage in life where I don't care anymore. Actually, I'm more comfortable in my own skin. If people want to use that word because they're lazy or whatever, because, yeah, because I'm sure white people don't know what phrase to use
yeah,
because it changes all the
yeah.
time. And I feel sorry
It does.
for people who
I
have this
know.
kind of, oh, can I say that? Can't I say that? But actually, you, you know, people, when they say something with vile and with vengeance and just nastiness, they are do. But some people, if they use the wrong word or we view it as the wrong word, but they're
Yeah,
trying to like soften things, you know the difference. You know the difference. But
exactly,
going back to the MA,
exactly.
it's like, you know, we are the global majority, minority ethnic global majority. How many Chinese people are,
I
is it the
know.
Far East now? Is it Far East Asian now? Is that what
Yeah,
they call
oh,
it? Or,
it's
but but
exhausting.
yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. You go from minority ethnic to actually not global majority, and it's like,
I know, I
where am I?
know,
But
I know.
like I said, I've got to the stage where my emotional energy is there's only so much, and it's of value to me. And there's certain things where I think, oh, I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered on that anymore. I'd rather be upset at the stuff that deserves deserves a response, and other stuff I can let slide. Some of the younger generation on social media, yeah, haven't reached that level of age. But then again, fair play if they're fighting our corner. Uh, yeah, great.
Yeah, it is like you say, it's challenging. It's great for the young people, like you say, they've got podcasts, they're really confident, they're putting themselves out there, and I'm learning a lot from from the young folk out there, which is fantastic. But yes, I think when we were growing up, well, certainly from my upbringing, my parents told us to kowtow. They told us to you know, not stick your head out of the parapet and stuff. Just be a good model citizen. Make sure you work really hard. Don't argue. Be a good person, be loyal, and all the rest of it. And so, when there were times where I did want to say, "Well, hang on a minute," my parents will just say, "No, no, no, don't say anything. Do not say anything." And so it was frustrating for me
Hmm,
because as a Westerner, I wanted to, I was very politicized from a very young age and I wanted to
hmm,
go out and protest. My mum would always say, "No, don't do that, you'll get into trouble," and so on. And even when Hong Kong was given back to China,
hmm,
in 97, my parents were still worried that even though we were born in the UK, they wanted us to get Chinese ID cards
Oh yeah, yeah.
because they were scared that we might get thrown out of the country. And, because I was like 97, I was in my late teens then, yeah, 20 something. I thought I knew everything. So I'd say, "Oh, shut up, mum. What are you talking about? They'll
Hmm.
never throw us out." But of course, with the with the country going to pot today, you
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe they will throw us out. I don't know. But yeah, it's so interesting that my British upbringing and my Chinese upbringing clashes quite, at times.
Hmm.
Um, and my personality kind of feels split at times as well because of that. So, I did protest against the Iran-Iraq war. My mum
Hmm.
did not like me doing that, and was really worried that I'd get thrown in jail and all the rest of it. So I have a really outgoing, vibrant personality, which I've taken from my dad. My confidence I've sort of cultivated and grown because of my upbringing here in the UK. But my Chineseness sort of, sometimes struggles with that because we're supposed to kowtow, we're
Hmm.
supposed to be loyal, we're supposed to be meek, and we're supposed to be subservient, and that's what we get told. So there's mega clashes amongst myself as an identity, definitely.
That kind of meekness and kowtowing and being quiet and being not being seen, that really doesn't help with personal branding or stepping forward to represent the business and going out to network, build relationships. You have to step forward. You have to have that confidence to be in a different setting. And maybe it's being and what I found was my biggest asset being the only Chinese person in the room for so long. Being seen as Chinese, especially in the 80s with a National Front and etc.
Yeah.
skinheads, etc. You don't want to be seen. You want to like
No.
hide but then personal branding, you have to step forward, you have to be seen. Like I said, 15 years into business, into my 40s, I kind of that kind of light bulb moment was this is my biggest asset.
Yeah.
It's going around in Dorset, around the business communities, it's Gordon. Okay, it might be the subtext of Gordon, the Chinese guy over there, but actually it was my biggest asset, and it kind of Mark Schaefer, the author, and
Yes.
he did a keynote speech down in Bournemouth at the Udemy Media conference, and when he did his speech, it was around his book Known. And just before then, because I really got involved in the community, and that's why this feeling of not hiding and stepping forward and feeling safe within the community means, I step forward, I get involved in events, I try and promote the area, and people got to know me because people would literally stop me in the street, and it was really embarrassing to begin with. They go, "Are you Gordon Fong?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And they'll go, "Oh, no, thank you for what you
Amazing.
do. Thank you for what you do." I'd be walking down the beach, just random places, and people would just mention me and say, "Are you Gordon Fong?" And then when Mark Schaefer stood on stage about during his talk, he said, "It's you can't be known. You can just be known for what you do. You don't have to chase
Yeah.
fame. You don't have to chase that cult of personality.
Mm.
It's okay to be known." And then that was the kind of light bulb moment where actually I don't have to be this, that, and the other. I just do my thing, and you'll just get known for it. And I think
Amazing.
I can do my thing at my own pace. I don't have to be X, Y, and Z. And that's why some people say to me, "Oh, you're all over social media. You're here, there. I see you everywhere." I'm not, but actually, I do work hard at it, and I do try and be there to support other people, and that's why I turn up to a lot of events. And maybe it's more than what I should do,
I
given time and
love
cost.
it.
But I think when you feel safe and part of a community, and I've always said, home isn't just your bricks and mortar. It's where you feel safe, where you can step out and just take part. And I think that's so
Mm,
important that I have found
mm.
this place where I live to be so just great fun, accepting, and the people we just get on. Nobody has mentioned, my background, my race, etc., etc. It's just Gordon. You think spell my name right?
Yeah. I love that people have stopped you in the beach. Oh my God, you're famous. You're internet famous, Gordon. But it's so incredible that you say that you work hard at it because your profile online is confident. It really is. Like you really know who you are, and you just post about your personal life as much as your business
Yeah,
life. And us as business owners, we can decide what we post online.
yeah,
So if you have children and you don't want to post online, that's absolutely fine. If you
mm,
want to post about your children, that's absolutely fine. I'm a pet parent. So Missy might come into being now and again, and I post
mm.
about my cat. I love your food posts and your wine selection and your whiskey. I love that. I can't wait until we meet up and we hang out and we have a drinking
Do you
session
have that gene that makes
together.
your face go all red when you have one sip?
Yeah, no. So it's really funny. I got my granddad's gene from mum's side.
Oh, we are
My
blessed.
mum,
We are blessed.
yes, well, are we blessed or because my brother and sister are a
Afflicted.
cheap date? Yeah, they're a cheap date. They have half a lager and then their face goes red. Um, but yeah, my granddad used to drink the equivalent of a bottle of vodka every day.
Oh,
He was a functioning
mm.
alcoholic, I suppose, is what you call it. And I've got that gene, so I can drink like a fish. But I have started to go red recently, so maybe it's just turning in my 50s. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
My face is changing, but yeah, my brother and sister are a cheap date. Half a
yeah.
lager and they go bright red. But I can drink forever
Mm.
and a day. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But I can't wait to go out drinking with you, Gordon. That'd be amazing.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun. Yeah, I can't do as much these days, but it's more about quality than quantity these days. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
go back to posting about the business and personal life and the things that you kind of share. That all again, if we relate it back to personal branding, that ick word or whatever, you know, there's different definitions of personal branding. I think, but one of the common things I hear is when you turn up, people have a sense of what you are already. You are the same when they meet you in person as you show up online. And I think
Yes.
it's not that I work at it. It's just I share because this is what I do. When I go to an
Mm,
event, I share, and I think the important thing is to share about other people. It's not all about me. My
yes.
Instagram feed, my LinkedIn, it's not a curated wall of me. Hopefully it's largely dispersed with people doing their events, people maybe supporting a charity or a campaign. It's more, I would like to think it's more about them, but I'll share my food stuff because I want to support the small businesses, and if it gives people an idea, yeah, next time I'm popping, I'm going to pop into that restaurant. People think, oh, just people sharing about their breakfasts. Who wants to see that? Sometimes I want to know where else to go for breakfast. So I
Yeah.
do want to see people's breakfasts, but some people have this kind of view. Oh, people on social media, you're always just posting rubbish. But actually, there will be somebody who likes your rubbish.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think you're right. When I accidentally fell into business, that's another story for another day. One of the books that I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People by
Mm,
Dale Carnegie, written in the
mm,
1930s, still extremely relevant today. And in there, it talks about the power of networking, where it's not about you, it's about how you can help
mm,
other people without expecting anything in return. Because actually, however we want to describe ourselves, BAME or Chinese or
mm,
BBC or British born Chinese or whatever, it doesn't really matter. We're humans at the end of the day, and we're all
mm,
connected. The
mm.
universe, the world over, we're connected, whether we are religious or not. We are connected by the universe. And so when you help other people, that help will come back to you, not necessarily from the people
Yeah,
that you've helped. And so,
yeah,
what I love about your Instagram posts and stories, Gordon, is the fact that you are helping and supporting other small business.
yeah.
And because not all of your content is about you, it's about where you've eaten because you're tagging that local restaurant, or you're tagging the wine where you got that from, or tagging the venue that you've been to. You're supporting other businesses, and it also reflects on you very well, because
Mm,
people will look at they will make a judgment call in five
yeah,
seconds, because we're human. That's what people do. And so if they see this really generous person that is Gordon Fong, who, is a foodie, likes to eat out a lot, likes to drink, but tags other places because he's supporting the local community. He must be a generous person. And that is a positive trait to have. And so, I think that is really, really good. And that forms part of your personal branding. If you
Mm.
share other people's content, then, you're being a generous person, and a generous person is a good characteristic to have. Now,
Yeah.
it's also great for content as well because, whether you identify as an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, I have
Ultravert.
it. Sorry?
That's a new word. Ultravert is like, an introvert. You like being in the company of people with high energy, but you kind of hang
Oh,
back and just draw the energy. I used to
oh,
think I was an introvert, but actually no, that was just a transient phase. I'm more of an ultravert. I like people who are extroverts. I like hanging around. Doesn't
oh,
mean I have to
love,
match their level, but I can just feed off it, and then I can just
yeah,
step away. I don't need to
love
crash
it.
afterwards because it's like, oh, so overwhelming. So I'm kind of
Oh,
in between. That's different to being an ambivert. Well, ambivert, where you kind of flick from one to the other. I think I do
yeah,
stay in that lane as opposed to
yes.
flicking back and forth.
Well, that's a great new word I've learned. I've learned today. Fantastic. Ultravert. Yeah. So whether you're an introvert, extrovert, ambivert, or you are an ultravert, which you are, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a great description. Doesn't matter who you are. Um, we need to show up
mm,
in order to get people to get to know who we are as a person before who we are as a business. We need to show up. And if you're an introvert, it's okay. You don't need to show your face to begin with.
mm, mm.
Hide behind great content by sharing other people's stuff.
Yeah,
When I'm struggling for content, I think, where have I been today? Whose content have I seen on the socials that I absolutely love? And what I'll do is share it in my stories, in Instagram
mm,
stories, or I will add a comment to give their support, or I'll repost it or
yeah,
retweet it, or I'll acknowledge them by sending them a DM and say, love
mm,
this. Thank you for sharing, and I always tag people where possible because it's just, it's just the easiest thing to do. It's great content if you're going to be a
yeah,
bit selfish to your personal branding, but it's just a nice thing to do as well to support
yeah,
other people. So, as I'm an ambivert, so I have introvert moments and extrovert moments. And in my introverted moments, I may not necessarily want to show myself up online,
mm,
but I'll share other people's content because that's a huge part of
mm,
my branding, which is to help other people.
yeah,
And so, but the point is that for a personal brand, you need to show up, whether that is sharing people's content,
mm,
whether that is commenting on other people's posts, sharing other people's posts. You need to show up eventually when the time is
yeah,
right
yeah,
for you. But yeah, that's all. That is all great stuff in order to build your profile online, and so people are then able to build a greater picture of you. And if they like you, then they may want to work with you, or they will certainly recommend your services to other people, which is also what it's all about.
yeah. I think yeah, this journey of using social media, etc. I call it from behind the camera to the front, or from the back of the room to the front on stage. You have to start little worded posts. Just you don't show yourself, but you do support others. Now, I think absolutely, if you support event organizers, they will love you. And then if you turn up to the events, like I do with Mark Masters, the media events, you get seen because you're supporting them. And event organizers, just any support they can get, it's like gold dust to them. Then actually they can then get
Absolutely.
you involved, and then you can start maybe using images. You don't have to be in the photograph, you can just take photographs. Then you can take a
Yes.
photograph of yourself being there, do videos,
Yes.
then get in front of the videos. You don't have to talk in videos. Then ultimately you get to the point where you can actually then talk to camera. But that's a long journey. You don't have to rush it.
It
You have to
is.
feel
That's right.
comfortable. Yeah,
That's
and I think
exactly right.
that's kind of my journey. And whenever I can, I will share. It just takes those small steps. Just start small,
Mm,
but you'll get there. There's no rush, but you have to start. You absolutely have to start
yeah.
and get on that train. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you mentioned in the previous episode, Gordon, you talked about I've lost my train of thought. Now, what was I going to say? I was going to say something really poignant, and I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, that's right. Yes, you've had people comment to say, "Gosh, you're on social all the time,
Mm,
Gordon," and in reality, you're not. But it's just that perception.
yeah,
And that perception has happened because you've been supporting other
yeah,
businesses. You've been going to conferences or networking events, and you've been taking photographs, not necessarily been in front of the camera, but you've
mm,
taken the picture, you've written about the event or the conference or the place that you went to. And you've supported other people. And when you are brave enough, then you
mm,
can do that selfie or you can do that video, but it does take time.
yeah,
Now, I've been in a really fortunate position in that before I started my business, I was for 20 years delivering training programs to classes of 5 to 300 people. So speaking in public and being in front of the camera has come naturally to me, and also because I wanted to be an actor when I was younger and a singer as well. That's
yeah,
another story for another day. So I've had that confidence, but as I mentioned in the previous episode, I do look back at my content to see where I can improve. But when I look back at the content, I actually pretend that that's my best
mm,
friend. So it's not me looking at me. I'm actually looking at me as my best friend to see where I can improve. And so that makes it a bit more better for myself
mm,
to actually look at my content because I'm always looking to improve, see where I can go better, see where where my pitfalls were, where I can improve and all the rest of it. But it does take time. And there
yeah,
will be moments where I don't feel like going in front of video. So I don't. So I
yeah,
will create a post where I give, advice on how to be more visible online, on my socials instead. And that's just my branding colors and just a little bit of written text. So
yeah,
there's lots of ways in which your personal brand doesn't need to be your face, doesn't need to
mm,
be your voice, but it's certainly about sharing good content from you that you've gleaned from other people or great advice and tips that you can share for your community. But it's all part of having the confidence to do that.
yeah,
And as I said before, we all have ups and downs
mm,
in our business. So there will be times where I don't want to go on video. There will be times where I don't want to put a photograph of me up there, but I
yeah.
will still share, when I can.
Just want to give a big up to two Vietnamese people that I follow online. You may know them,
Yay!
Vinh Giang and also Christo. You need to follow them for
Yes.
great content and this kind of
Yes.
personal branding. But also, I connected to them because they were Far East Asians as well. So
Yes.
I kind of they sometimes share their origin story, and
Yeah.
hearing that kind of gives me a
Yeah.
little boosters as well.
Do you know, I want to share a funny story about Krista. I've never mentioned it to him, but he I refuse to call it X. I still call it Twitter because I
Hmm.
reminisce about the days when it was a great platform
Yeah.
before Musk took over. But Christo was tweeting there, and he was talking about how he was going to be a speaker at Andrew and Pete's
Hmm.
Atomicon. It was an amazing conference. So I was sort of messaging him and so on. And he's an introvert, I think. I think he
Yeah. Yeah.
identifies as an
Yeah,
introvert,
a loud
but he
introvert, he says.
a loud introvert. Love that. And so actually, I don't know, it's just my inherent Chineseness, I don't know. But when I saw him after he did his incredible talk, which was fantastic, then there was, at Andrew and Pete's Atomicon, they'll always have parties afterwards.
Yeah,
So there
yeah,
was a party and he was surrounded by lots of women, which was fantastic. And my instinct was, well, he doesn't need to hear from another person, does he? So
Hmm.
I actually didn't, I really wanted to meet him, but I know that
Yeah,
these people were taking a lot of his time. And he could have protected himself, but my instinct was just, oh, he doesn't need another person to talk to. So I thought I'd leave it a couple of days and I'd just message him on Twitter instead. I
Yeah,
should
all
have
right.
met him, but I didn't because I wanted to
No,
be respectful of his boundaries.
I've got the same story because I met him at the pre-party, down by the river's
Oh
edge.
yeah,
So
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
was flocking around. Everybody was flocking around, and I
yeah,
thought, but I was just on the outside, and I was just, oh, I
yeah.
want to talk to him. I want to talk to him. So I just waited, and I waited for like ages and ages. Then I thought, I need to do this. I need to do this. So I needed to go to the toilet as well. So I walked past, and I didn't want to like just down. I just go, Chris, can I catch you later? And then that set the seed because I
Yes,
wasn't disrupting anything. I wasn't like barging in, but I did that kind
good
of
for you.
quiet. Oh, Chris. So when I came back, I still
Yeah.
waited and waited until people left him. Then he came to me and we got talking. And I wish I had a
Oh,
selfie with him, but it was that thing where I don't want to. Just I'd love to meet him. I want to. But then I kind
that's
of went,
so
oh, Gordon, come
Chinese of
on.
you, Gordon.
Come on, Gordon. You're like 50, mid 50s. Have some bravery. So but I just went past me, Chris, out after, that was enough for me to go, actually, I've
Yeah.
set this, sowed the seed. So,
Oh, good
then I
for
still
you.
waited and waited. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
did, but I
good for
wish I had
you.
that selfie because he's got great skin. He's got great skin.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he really does.
There's one point before we kind of
Yeah.
finish on this
Yeah.
episode, and I think we can come back to it later. But just to put the question out there, within, we talked about our social media feeds, and it's all great and it's all positive, it's all sharing. But some people say we need to see the negative side. You can't just show the good times. Should we share the bad times? I do, occasionally share things which are happening, but it's, how much do you do? Is it important? You know, what's your view on that kind of that balance between, hey, everything's great, to actually sometimes it's not.
Yeah, it's the right word is balance, Gordon. And I know I don't have that balance right, but in business you will have your ups and your downs. It's all part and parcel of it. And there is a great correlation between mental health and running your own business. There are
Hmm.
studies that show that mental health, you know, it has affected small business owners. And so I'm really, really grateful because I've got some incredible friends who will tell me, who notice when I disappear from socials,
Hmm.
and they'll fire a quick question to me on the DMs, direct messages, or on WhatsApp and say, "Oh, hey, making, are you busy with work or are you okay?"
Hmm.
And it depends where
It's
I
nice.
am on that scale. Now, a really, really, really good, incredible, supportive friend of mine, Tim Lewis, who's on all the
Yeah.
socials as Stone and Press,
Hmm.
he notices, but a lot of people notice, but he always encourages me to write about it. And after the fact. And I struggle with that
Hmm.
sometimes because I think, well, who's going to want to know about my latest dip? Um,
Hmm.
but the number of times when I've written about it and people have DM'd me and said, oh my gosh, I didn't, what, you really? You're always so positive and big personality, big energy, and you go through
Hmm.
these dips as well. Wow. And I still find it a surprise that people, notice that I dip, and they notice that, and when I write those posts, that people will say to me, "Oh, well, thank you so much.
Hmm.
I really needed to hear that today. Oh my goodness, I didn't know you go through that as well," and and all the rest of it. So even though it's a bit embarrassing, and it's not embarrassing really,
Hmm.
everybody goes through those dips, those ups and downs, and everyone's feelings are valid. And I'm not comparing myself to anybody else's feelings. Everyone goes through those ups and downs, but if I can help that one person by writing a post
Hmm.
after the fact, then that's good. That's amazing. At least I've helped that person that day. And I've literally just posted one up a couple of days ago. I wrote it 2 weeks ago. but I wasn't ready to post it because,
Right.
I'm still working things through and so on. I'm actually going to the doctor tomorrow to see whether it's more than the usual mental health stuff because I've got um a history of depression. I completely forgot about it. You can forget about being, clinically depressed. But anyway, anyway, so yeah, going to go to the doctors to see if it's any, more, whether it's more than depression or whether it's perimenopause, whether it's
Mm.
ADHD or bipolar. It could be all those things given my history, which I kind of forgot about. But yeah, I wrote a post a couple of days ago. Well, no, I wrote it 2 weeks ago, kept on my phone because I
Mm.
wasn't ready to post it. But then I publicly posted it a couple of days ago, and the amount of support that I've had from the post is incredible. Lots of
Mm.
DMs, lots of conversations I'm having, private messages that I'm having with people who needed to hear that. A lot of public messages saying they love the story, and a lot of private messages saying good to see you back making,
Mm.
and so on. So I think that you know some people, I mean, I know that there are some people who bang on about the stuff that's gone on in their business, and it's a
Mm.
way of therapy for them, but they
Yeah.
publicly
Yeah.
declare it and all the rest of it. And, if it works for them,
Yeah.
they do them, it's absolutely fine. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I've been encouraged to talk about it because they said that it could help someone. I thought, well,
Yeah.
if it can help someone, great. Um, so yeah, but I don't, it really depends on yourself. But we need to talk about the realities of business. When
Yeah.
people bang on about their 6, 7 figure business, I mean, is it 6 figures? Is it really? Is it seven
Yeah.
figures? Really?
Yeah.
I actually met someone who declared that they had a 6 figure business, but actually secretly, um, they actually had a part-time job. And nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. Maybe that is true, and they want to put that perception across of how
Yeah.
successful they are. Um, if that, and if again, you do you, as the young folks would say,
Yeah.
you got to do what's right for you. But the realities of running a business is hard. I don't
Hard.
have a five,
Yeah.
I don't have a 6 figure business, 7 figure business. I've got a few hundred quid in my account at the moment because I've been ill
Yeah.
for the last few months, but also I don't like talking about money.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think it's really crude
Oh,
and horrible.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
I
like it.
hate it.
It's just it's vulgar for me. But other people love talking about
Yeah.
money, and that's absolutely fine. So hopefully that answered your question. I sometimes talk about my personal journey,
Yeah.
but it's whatever is comfortable for you. um One of my other friends, very political, he's extremely political on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and shares his stuff, and that's part of his makeup, and he's
Mm.
comfortable with that. He's got a very successful business, and he
Mm.
and he posts about things that he protests about, he's not happy about,
Yeah.
and so on. And I get involved in the comments in those posts. I am, as I've mentioned before, I love politics. There was a time I wanted to be a councillor and a
Mm.
politician. Maybe I'll do that maybe in 10 years' time. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I will post about things like that. Um, but I might put them in my Instagram stories because they'll
They'll
disappear
disappear.
after a
Yeah. Yeah.
while. Yeah, rather than put it in my Instagram grid or my LinkedIn grid. But as I
Yeah.
say, my friend, he posts it on his personal profile on his LinkedIn
Mm.
grid. It's not affected his business at
Yeah.
all, and he's absolutely fine with that. He's comfortable with that, and that's okay.
Yeah. I guess given some of the areas that some of our businesses delve into, like national security, law enforcement, and defense, going too political it just wouldn't be good. And I think
No,
again, it's that balance of authenticity and things that will be damaged. But going back to the six figures thing, you can't count the two numbers after the decimal point, can you? That's not six figures, is it?